Nightline. Proudly sponsored by National Mutual.
Good evening. The days have dwindled to hours as time runs out to find a solution to the Gulf crisis. But in what seems the final sliver of hope, France has tried to beat the clock with a last desperate peace initiative at the United Nations. The Security Council is meeting throughout the night to come up with a form of words acceptable to both sides. But the United States has rejected the main pillar of the plan, a conference on the Palestinian question. The discussions began after the Council heard a report from Secretary General Javier Perez de Cuellar on his failed talks in Baghdad.
In spite of the fact that my mission has not given the results expected, the members of the Council are unanimous in desiring a peaceful solution of this present situation, and they are prepared to continue their efforts tomorrow, the whole day, in order to avoid the worst.
The deadline for Saddam Hussein to leave Kuwait expires at 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, Australian Eastern Summer Time. After that, America says the Iraqi president is there on borrowed time. For the thousands of troops lined up against him in Saudi Arabia, the waiting appears to be almost over.
Hundreds of aircraft, thousands of personnel on a base playing host to the largest strike force under a single command in modern times. Wild weasels flown by Marines are made to ferret out missiles and radar and clear the skies. These pilots will be the vanguard.
Our job is to go in there ahead of the fighters, ahead of the other supporting airplanes, and knock out those anti-aircraft guns and surface-to-air missiles and the surveillance radars.
On the ground, there was sound and fury signifying, perhaps, final live-fire exercises. Marine reservists just arrived in Saudi Arabia were trying out their M16s for the first time. Next door, the desert silence was broken by the blast of 155mm howitzers. Fire! Marines who'd spent the summer praying for rain now saw their dreams coming true with a vengeance. And that wasn't the only change. What was different now was the adrenaline and the urgency. The men could hear those chimes at midnight.
I just try not to think about it. I'm scared about it.
We're beyond worried. We're not really worried anymore.
There's a lot of tension in the air around here. Everybody's real anxious.
In the British Isle of the theater, clouds of dust had settled into a water-pocked desert, making them feel quite at home in their unflappable personalities.
There is a very slight feeling of tension in the air, but we're well trained and we're ready to react to whatever tasks might be placed upon us.
And all over the theater, more tanks and troops kept moving further north, towards the front, towards war.
The plan for the U.S. Pentagon, of course, is to take out Iraq as quickly as possible and to limit the number of Allied casualties. However, military commanders have acknowledged not all American forces are yet in place or ready for battle.
Elements of 2 tank divisions are still arriving in Saudi Arabia, and it will be the end of the month before they are all in the field and ready for combat.
I believe the military would like some time to get these heavy armored divisions that have just arrived in from Europe, get them ready to go and to make the attack.
Naval forces are also still moving into position. The aircraft carrier Roosevelt passed through the Suez Canal today. Tomorrow, the carrier America will transit the Suez, giving the U.S. a total of 6 carriers targeted against Saddam Hussein. It will take a few days for the pilots to familiarize themselves with the flying conditions, but the military will be prepared to launch airstrikes very soon after the January 15th deadline expires.
I would submit that sometime between the 20th of January and the 15th of February, the war is going to start.
Air raids would precede any ground offensive, and today a study of the Iraqi military released by the Army War College listed these high-priority targets: Saddam's headquarters, Scud missile sites, air defenses, and the 2,700 artillery pieces in the Kuwaiti theater. That same study also said, quote, "We do not think air power alone will suffice to bring a war with Iraq to an early or decisive conclusion. In the final analysis, ground forces will be required."
Diplomats from Algeria and the Yemen arrived in Baghdad today offering last-minute initiatives for peace, but they too found the Iraqi president hell-bent on a jihad or holy war. His latest threat to King Fahd of Saudi Arabia that thousands of Saudis would be among his victims.
After meeting Yasser Arafat again, Saddam Hussein ordered that 2 words be added to the Iraqi flag: Allahu Akbar, God is great. It's synonymous with the Palestinian resistance against Israel. It's also the Muslim battle cry for holy war, and state television has been ordered to respond accordingly with transmissions like these. They're being used to psychologically prepare the nation for the approach of war and to help portray the inseparability of all Iraqis to their country's stand.
Let's get into this war. I call upon all Arabs to start a holy war.
They denied it was a declaration of war.
We're with peace. We will not declare war. We will not shoot the first bullet. It's for them to do it.
There are now some visible signs of war readiness. The markets are selling large amounts of plastic sheeting in case windows are bomb blasted. Today's rush hour was typically hectic, but Iraqis seem in no hurry to take any drastic measures to protect their homes. This Baghdad housewife is from Cardiff and married an Iraqi doctor over 20 years ago. He wants her and their 3 children to leave the capital for safety. She refuses.
I think everybody's afraid of the unknown. They're worried about what's going to happen, and we hope that there will be peace.
I'm sure that somehow, somewhere, someone will find the right formula for peace.
And ahead on Nightline, the Israeli factor in the Gulf.
For 26 hilarious years, they made an art of infidelity once a year. Alan Alda and Ellen Burstyn in Same Time Next Year, Wednesday, 8:30 on 9.
Galaxy Homes lets you create your own dream home. Every Galaxy home is built on a foundation of uncompromising quality. That's why Galaxy insist on the finest interior decorating advice. McLean Sons offer you access to the same professional advice at home or in our showroom. Our interior decorator advises on sofas, curtains and carpet, including Minster Stainmaster at last year's price of $87 a metre. Call the quality experts.
Let's take a walk down a typical suburban street. Oh, imagine when it rains. And over here, seen better days, hasn't it? Aha, here's a roof seal restoration. See the new mortar in this beautiful LMX waterproof coating, guaranteed for 6 years. And there's a brand new Colorbond roof installed by Roof Seal. Well, Roof Seal are right on top in this street. In fact, right around Australia. Call Roof Seal for a no-obligation free estimate for your home.
Hurry, hurry, hurry to Harris Calf's big January sale for bigger and better values. Make short work of the gardening with a Black & Decker petrol line trimmer with powerful 25cc chrome bore motor, now $179. Try the garden trimmer for pruning and trimming at $159. And tidy up using a Black & Decker whippersnipper with a powerful 500-watt motor for a low $129. Remember, like it, charge it at Harris Calf, your value for money store.
Introducing the Chicken Burger.
Chicken burger?
Hungry Jack's new flame grilled chicken burger.
Flame grilled?
That's right, flame grilled chicken burger.
Tender, juicy chicken grilled over the flame with fresh tomato, lettuce, topped off with a tasty savoury sauce and wrapped in an oat bran bun.
Okay, got it.
Then get it at Hungry Jack's. Hungry Jack's.
Corvette is closing down. All stock must go, so every line in every department in every store has been reduced to sell. Everything must be sold. Stock must be liquidated immediately. Don't miss the bargains. Infants and toddler wear all reduced. Super savings in boys and girls wear. Great bargains in men's and ladies wear. Huge reductions in Manchester and bedding. Yes, Corvette is closing down. So every line is reduced many lines under cost in Corvette's genuine closing down sale now on.
Israel officially put its armed forces on full war alert today, knowing the country is likely to be Iraq's first target if, or rather when, fighting breaks out. The government has warned its citizens to prepare for attack.
They came to Jerusalem's sacred Wailing Wall in the thousands, one of the biggest gatherings in memory. They came to do what Jews have done on the eve of battle for thousands of years. They prayed for God's help and for God's strength. But Israelis have never relied on the power of prayer alone. Their Air Force is on full alert. Pilots are reportedly sitting in their cockpits around the clock. Key reserve units have been called up to deal with a host of threats, including terrorism. The Army handed out gas masks to Jewish settlers in the occupied Arab territories today, but gave none to their Palestinian neighbors. Israel's Supreme Court denounced that as scandalous and ordered that gas masks be given to everyone. Palestinians were already buying plastic sheets to seal houses and public buildings, preparing for the worst. It looked as if doomsday had already come to one Tel Aviv neighborhood today. The area sealed off as hundreds of soldiers, medical personnel, and volunteers rehearsed the emergency drill for dealing with the victims of the chemical warfare attack. The unthinkable is now a distinct possibility.
America is trying to avoid involving Israel in the Iraqi-Kuwaiti conflict. U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Lawrence Eagleburger has been holding talks in Tel Aviv, trying to secure a guarantee that Israel would not retaliate if attacked by Iraq. But as Israeli Defense Minister Moshe Aarons told Ted Koppel from ABC America's Nightline, that would make his country extremely vulnerable.
Israel and the United States have a long-standing friendship and program of meetings, strategic cooperation agreement, and I think that you should see Eagleburger's visit here really as part and parcel of those meetings that we hold quite frequently and, of course, quite naturally at the present time.
Well, it has been suggested to me that one of the great dangers is, since your government has said it would respond militarily if any attack is launched against Israel, there would clearly be some fears of mid-air collisions or Israeli planes taking out U.S. planes taking out Israeli planes over the Gulf area, over the Iraq area. Has there at least now been a decision made to coordinate that?
I think that, first of all, I hope that that eventuality will not arise. We here are hoping that Saddam Hussein will not attack us. But, of course, we are ready just in case he does, and we will strike back. Under those circumstances, I'm counting on us finding the ways of making sure that there are no untoward accidents.
Well, that's not the kind of thing that you just wing. You don't ad-lib that sort of thing. What I'm asking you, Minister, is whether those arrangements have now been made.
Well, I think you'll understand if I don't want to go into any further details.
I understand that you don't want to go into details. I'm just asking you whether at least there is that level of coordination between U.S. and Israeli forces, because while you talk about the long-standing good relationship between the two countries, there have been efforts for precisely the reasons you're suggesting to keep Israel and the United States at arm's length.
Well, all I can tell you is that if a situation like that arises, and I hope it doesn't, but if it does arise, we will very shortly find the ways and means of avoiding any accidents.
I am, as you know, in Amman, Jordan, and the military here has been put on the highest level of alert. The number of Jordanian troops in the Jordan